Hey there hobby friends and welcome to the Pickle Jar, where today we're doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I've been abducted by Luke from Geek Gaming Scenics and Ben from Benji's Hobbies to take part in a bit of a challenge. We're heading over to a local store called Mirfield Miniatures that sells second-hand miniatures and kits a lot cheaper than buying them brand new. Now some of them are new on sprue, but most of them are already built and some are even partially painted or fully painted. Now anyone that's followed the channel for a while knows how much I hate building, so the idea of buying stuff already built was very, very appealing to me. Now if you want to get the full details for the challenge, you can find them over in Luke's video, but the basic idea is to get to the store with a budget of £50 and see how much we can buy, work out our saving versus buying it brand new, and then take it home and paint it up to a standard that we're happy with. It sounds like a simple enough idea, and I don't need a lot of convincing to start a new project. Now the shop is truly amazing. I only got a quick peek in the door before we drew straws, and Ben went in first for first dibs on the models that he wanted to buy. As me and Luke waited, we chatted about what we hoped to find in there in the Miniatures Cave of Wonders. I'm not gonna lie, Ben was in there a long time, like a really long time. Now eventually he came out of the store with a tray covered over full of miniatures, and finally it was my turn.
What's your strategy? You're going to tell me?
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at how much stuff is, and I'm going to roughly work out about £50 worth of stuff, and then I'm going to come out.
Good strategy.
Don't steal my strategy. So, there's quite a lot of stuff in here. We need to have a look through and work out what we're going to buy for this challenge. So basically the rules are, as Luke said, we've got £50 up to, well, £50 is the sort of target to spend, and we want to try and get something that we don't have to do a lot of work on. So maybe just something that just needs basing, maybe something that just needs a little bit of touching up and a bit of paint, something like that. This is going to be fun. Let's take a look round and see what we can get and work out what our best chance for winning this challenge is. Some base ready here. Maybe I can just get a load of basing material and I don't have to actually do any painting. I can just be like, yep, it's all ready. All sorted.
So I started looking around at all the options that I had. Now I was drawn initially to armies that I already had, like Marines and various Eldar factions. I ended up deciding against going for something that I already had because I knew that I'd have to try and fit it into my current armies, and ideally I wanted something simple, so I decided to look for a brand new project. There was a huge selection of stuff in here and I could easily have spent a lot more time and a lot more money than I was budgeted for, but eventually, after looking around at all the stock, my eye was drawn to a massive selection of Nighthaunt models. Now these have always been one of the armies that I'd like to do for Age of Sigmar, and since I recently got the Dominion box and I'm finally starting to learn how to play, I figured why not give myself another massive project. So this is what I went with. It's all already built up, and barring a few of the ghost horses, it's all unpainted as well, meaning that I can get exactly the colour scheme that I want once I get to work on these when I get them home. The total cost for this came to, I think it was £68, but because I was buying so much at once, Mark gave me a bit of a discount, so the entire bundle cost £60 altogether. Fantastic. Once I'd done, Luke went in, and Luke was in there for quite a while, and there was a lot of deliberating before he eventually came out with a lot more boxes than me and Ben had come out with.
Josh, can you give me a hammer?
Are you joking?
Yeah.
How much are you getting?
Just a little bit. You want to carry them?
Yeah.
Be very careful. I've not got much.
I'll take it, Mickey. Big man YouTube fella.
If you're able to get up to Mirfield Miniatures, I would highly recommend it. Buying secondhand stuff, especially pre-built, for a fraction of the cost is an amazing way to add to an existing project or to start a brand new one. Want to get into the new edition of Kill Team? Go and spend £10 and you'll have all the models that you'd need. Massive thank you to Mirfield Miniatures and Mark for letting us come down and film for the day. Our wallets considerably lighter and our projects picked out, we headed back to Luke's to show each other what we had bought. Now up to this point we'd kept it a secret, we'd purposefully not shown each other what we'd got, so this was the big reveal to show each other what we'd spent and what we'd bought. Now, me and Ben had largely stuck to the £50 budget, only slightly overspending each. Luke, on the other hand, well, Luke's done what he's always done. He's gone around flashing the big YouTuber money and completely overspent. I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly how he tries to work his way out of this one when it comes to the points.
I'm gonna call it now. I think no way. Don't get me wrong, it was cheap, but not that cheap.
But when you buy more, it gets cheaper.
Luke made the rules up. Luke also.
No, when you buy more, it gets cheaper. Do you want to help me with carrying this upstairs?
Nope.
No.
That's, you're on your own.
Guys?
So after a fun day of filming and hanging out with Luke and Ben, I headed home and got straight to work on this brand new project. Now, I had a rough idea of what I wanted to do with them in my head, but I hadn't done any test pieces at all, so that's something that I'd need to do a little bit later on. To start with though, I went through and started cleaning up any bits and pieces on the models before I started painting them. Now, I'm not entering these into any competitions or anything, but I also wanted some basic stuff fixing on them. There were a few bits left over from them being clipped off of sprues, and the odd mould line here and there showing up, so I got to work cleaning them up as best I can. There were a few gaps too, and some I could fix with plastic cement, but others would have needed green stuff or milliput or something similar, so I opted just to leave them, if I'm honest, focusing more on making the army as a whole look good rather than individual models. Now, if you are buying second-hand models, either from a store like Mirfield Miniatures or from eBay or similar, then this is something you'll have to bear in mind. They aren't always going to be built up to your standard, so you do need to think about that and sort of take that cleanup time into account. Sometimes you might get stuff that just isn't possible to get it cleaned up and that it is just sort of beyond repair. So do be careful if you are buying pre-built stuff. Largely you can fix stuff, you can clean it up, you can tidy it up, but sometimes it kind of is a lost cause. So make sure you look at what you're buying before you buy it. Once they were all cleaned up, I got to work priming them all. Now, the plan for painting these was speed. I wanted to get them looking as good as possible, as quickly as possible. A quick prime in black and then a zenithal with white ink saw the models ready for painting proper. Now, I did go with the airbrush for this. Again, purely for speed. I can get them all blasted out and painted out. It was raining outside. I didn't want to have to mess about with rattle cans, so the airbrush it is. I know that every time I mention an airbrush on a video, my views just shoot down. People just turn off. You don't need an airbrush to do this paint scheme that I'm doing. You can do it with a brush. It's easier with an airbrush, but it can be achieved with a brush as well. Now, I experimented with a few different colour combinations and tried out a new bright pink that I'd picked up from Green Stuff World. Now, I was a little underwhelmed by the pink if I'm completely honest, and I really liked the purple dark pink combo, so I decided to go with this. I did like the idea of adding in some blue at a later stage, so I kept that to one side too. So this is the super simple colour scheme I wanted to do. I went through and sprayed the bottom half of each model with a purple, mixing it up a little on some of the weird shaped models, but largely aiming for the bottom of each. I like the idea of them being darker towards the bottom and then getting brighter and brighter the further up the model that they go. The basing for these is probably going to be fairly dark, so that the attention is towards the top of the model. I was super happy with the progress, having only spent a couple of hours on them at this point. Eager to get them done, I carried on, now moving on to the second colour. For this, I sprayed the top half in a pink, covering the top section and also blending the two colours together from the pink into the purple. Now, these two colours are very close together, so it's easy to blend together using the airbrush, but you can just do this using dry brushing and stuff like that. It works absolutely fine, so don't worry if you've not got an airbrush. I'm really happy with how the colour scheme looks. The two-tone blend is really nice and it looks really effective on the table. Now I'd spent around 3 hours on the army at this point and I decided that I could probably afford to add in a little bit more detail. The original plan was to keep them super simple, but I figured I'd pick out a few bits and pieces and add in some more interest. So I picked out the arms and faces in the blue colour from earlier, getting a solid base coat in and then shading them all with a dark green wash. I also added in some Tesseract glow to a few random flames and other bits and pieces on the models. Now this isn't present on every model and it just does stand out as a nice little bit of visual interest throughout the army, just adding a little bit of different colour on them. Now I have no idea if this army is any good or if it's even legal in the state that it's in. It's been a lot of fun to work on though, and it only cost me £60. Now if I'd bought from Games Workshop brand new, not only would it have cost me at least double this, but I would also have had to build it all. So even if it needs a few extra little bits and pieces added to it to make it usable in a game, it's still super cheap. I'll definitely be checking out Mirfield Miniatures again in the near future for a few other projects that I've got planned. More on those in later videos. Now the army is all painted up to a decent level. As I said earlier, it's not going to win any competitions, but it's not supposed to win any competitions. It just looks really cool all together on the table, and it will suit as either a spare army for people coming over to use, or with a few extra bits and pieces added to it, a second army for me to use alongside my Dominion stuff, if I ever get round to doing anything with that. But it's not quite finished, I still needed to do the basing. Now I opted to use my new favourite basing material, Volcanic Island Base Ready from Geek Gaming Scenics. Now this stuff is absolutely gorgeous and really suits what I wanted to do with the models, keeping the focus on the tops of the models and away from the bases. It's got a few different gradients mixed in, so you've got some nice variation in the texture, and it doesn't have any pigment in it, meaning that there's no chance of accidentally getting your models dusty like you do with some of the other ones. Now with everything complete, I think it's about time that we looked at some of the glamour shots, don't you? Now this was a really fun project to work on alongside Ben and Luke. After a year of being locked away, it's nice to do something like this and just hang out with a couple of mates, even if one of them just completely disregards the rules for the challenge that he made up. Make sure you do go and check out Luke and Ben's videos, both the links are down below in the description and pinned in the comments, and let us know which one you think got the best bargain and whose you like the best. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave us a like and a sub if you are new. In the description below you'll find a link to our Discord server as well as all our affiliate links to help support the channel if you wish to do so. And on that note, I'd like to give a massive thank you to all our current channel members for the ongoing support that you are giving us. It's absolutely amazing. You guys are awesome. That's all from me. I'll catch you in the next one, and until then, enjoy your hobby.